Video recording for EDUKWEST is provided by Whatburner. Take Skype video to the next level. Record, edit, upload at vodburner.com.
Hi everyone and welcome. My name is Kirsten Winkler. This is EDUKWEST, and together, as every week, we are on the search for better education, and I'm very happy to be joined by Jeffrey McManus today. He is the CEO of CodeLesson. Jeffrey, welcome to EDUKWEST.
Thank you so much, Kirsten.
So then, essentially, I think the name says it all, but maybe a little bit for the background, so that our audience is or gets a little bit more familiar with you. Who are you? And then what led to open, or what led you to create CodeLesson?
Sure. So I've been doing professional developer education for quite a number of years, since I was in college, actually. I'm a developer myself. I'm hands-on with code every day, but I spend a lot of time helping other developers come up to speed on new technologies, and I did that a lot in my capacity running the platform evangelism team at eBay, and I started and ran the developer network at Yahoo for a few years, and so all of those have very strong developer education components to them, and so it's something that's been a common thread through my entire career. And one of the things that I've been noticing, especially recently in the last few years, is that the ways that developers approach learning new things, it has become decreasingly professionalized. It's been almost assumed that developers will be autodidacts, that they will Google to find information that they need. And that can work, but it ends up giving you a situation where no developer has a lot of depth in any one technology. And we also see employers pulling back from training developers for various reasons. It's expensive, and there's all kinds of other things. No developer is going to be necessarily passionate about putting a team of 4 developers on an airplane to go to a conference to pay thousands of dollars for some kind of training, only to have them come back and did you use the training? Maybe not. I'm not really sure. So there's a little bit of risk involved, and certainly a lot of expense with the way that it's been done historically. So with CodeLesson, we saw an opportunity to utilize the web to put technologists, not just developers, but also prospective developers, together online with experts who were using technologies in a hands-on way. So all of our instructors are real human beings, which is an important competitive differentiator for us. A lot of online learning sites today are basically canned, pre-recorded videos, and there are, of course, all kinds of limitations to that. You can't ask a question of a video. A video won't, evaluate your work and tell you if you made a mistake. A video also can't assume every single possibility where the student would make a mistake or have a question. And so we're focusing with CodeLesson on putting experts together with people who want to learn. And we're doing technology today because it seems to make the most sense. It's what people are willing to pay for. But it also makes a big difference in people's jobs, and not just for developers, like I mentioned, but also we're seeing a lot of people who are describing themselves as startup CEOs and technology managers, product managers. We ask them, why are you taking this course? And they say, I don't even plan coding, but I want to be able to communicate better with the people who work for me and my coworkers, to be able to understand what challenges they face and how I can communicate better with them. And that's turned into a surprising and interesting use case for CodeLesson, not just professional developers, but everyone surrounding the endeavor of professional software engineering.
Mm-hmm. And why now? I mean, CodeLesson is a little less than a year old, but I suppose so. We saw the first real peak maybe in online education in 2007, 2008, with mostly languages. So now math, other sciences, and yes, coding. What is your, as the technologist, perspective that these come now, and it seems to be like a big wave coming of people, either, as you said, in an asynchronous way, putting something online, or also live teaching or video lessons, of course. But why do you think in this whole field of science this happens now?
I think this is a good question, because it's certainly the case that the technology was in place 2 years or maybe even 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's a more important factor, which is people's perception of value and what people are willing to do to pursue information. I think that with the things I was talking about earlier pertaining to how businesses are maybe less enthusiastic about making investments in their workers' knowledge, right, mm-hmm. today, I think that's more pronounced today than it might have been in 2008, let's say. And so I think that in this economy, and I think that given all the other factors that go on, the ability to provide competitive advantages for technical staff at a cost that's lower than putting a bunch of people on a plane and sending them off to training or sending them off to a conference, very valuable for businesses, and I think that's a big part of what informed our decision to launch CodeLesson last year. There were some other factors that had to do with why we launched CodeLesson last year, mostly having to do with various businesses, consulting clients, and so forth, asking us for this kind of thing. It was very much informed by demand, and everything we do is sort of demand-driven, and that was a big part of this. But, you know, I have been the kind of technical trainer where I've gotten on planes, and I've done this all over the world, and I've written a few books on software development as well, too. It's a drag. Nobody likes to do it. I don't want to have to get up and leave my house, and my wife is on travel right now, and, you know, I desperately, and so, you know, it's not exciting, and no one is giving software development conferences in Hawaii, unfortunately. Maybe if they did, then people would want to go. But I think that for the most part, it's much better for a professional to be able to learn on their own schedule, to not have to be taken away from their job, and that's what we offer. We offer courses where professionals have the ability to do the work. We have them scheduled maybe 4 to 8 hours a week, but that can be any time that they want. Our courses are available 24 hours a day, so it's totally time shifted. They don't have to be at a certain place at a certain time. And in addition to being much less expensive for them or for their employers, it's much convenient. They can do work on weekends, they can do work on evenings, mornings, whenever, and it makes it much, much easier for them to learn.
I would definitely agree with both the sometimes budget constraints or simply seeing, of course, in online training a now effective and also measurable way for having my employees trained. And would you then say, as you said, from both a personal perspective, as you have been doing this for some years, I suppose, traveling and then being at conferences and trainings, and also from your customer side, having this request for a certain platform and training, is it then that CodeLesson's customers are predominantly from the corporate world already, or do you also have individuals like 50-50 enrolling in your courses?
There's a mix. We've seen corporate groups come into courses and take a course together, and we've seen a lot of that. We've seen individuals who to retool their own skills, who want to be able to learn their first programming language, or if they're an existing developer, learn a new language. That's pretty common. We have a lot of people who are individual entrepreneurs who don't have the ability to code at all and want to be able to at least do the basics, or like I said, to be able at least to communicate with the people who do the work for them. And then we also have an interesting and surprising subset, and it's small, but it's growing, of people who are in universities today. College students, undergraduates, graduate students. We actually did a little data crunch base and saw that I think it was 5 of the 8 League universities in the United States have users on CodeLesson today. So we're offering something presumably that the Ivy League universities aren't. And that's kind of interesting. I know that one of the dilemmas of technology education at the university level today is that computer science is focused on creating two types of people, systems programmers and researchers. Software engineering is almost an afterthought in almost every university computer science program, and I think that may be the reason why we're seeing university students find their way to us, because they want to be able to, we're much more focused on what's marketable, what businesses are for, much more practical, and I think that it's something where we can be a complement to the university experience. Computer science as taught at the university level is very valuable, and I wouldn't diminish that at all, but I definitely think that there's something that can be added to most, especially for an undergraduate, say in their last year of a 4-year program, where they're going to be starting to apply for jobs. They want to be able to have some kind of practical application that they can tell an employer that they've done something. We can definitely step in to provide that.
Yeah, and I see that as very important, as you said, the discrepancy between the intellectual capacities, but then also being able to market something or to build something hands-on where there's a need in the market. At least in higher education today, it doesn't always, unfortunately, go together in the best sense. And are you then speaking, just to get sidetracked a little bit, but are you then also speaking in this direction with the universities or maybe colleges if there is a possibility of earning some credits for the lessons or courses they take with CodeLesson? Because I see that happening in some other startups, that they really try to see what is possible then, and that there's also interest from the university side.
Yep, we do that today, actually. So we have a relationship with a Canadian university, University of Victoria. They actually sponsored the creation of our first PHP curriculum last year, and we teach that curriculum once a year. In fact, I'm about to do it for them in the next few weeks. We teach in the same exact online form that we do for CodeLesson. So the curriculum is mostly the same. The CodeLesson version is a little bit more updated. A few things to I'm going to take away a few things. So, like, if you take the University of Victoria version of our class, you'll have to take a final. We don't give finals on CodeLessons. We give short quizzes on CodeLesson, but no gigantic final. No academic credit on CodeLesson, so you would get that with University of Victoria. But I think the majority of professional students don't necessarily, they mostly have college degrees. They're working toward college degrees, so I don't envision that. Getting course credit for, like a university course credit through us, a huge selling point, but maybe at some point in the future. I would actually love to establish more relationships with universities that could sort of augment their course offerings. I think that university extension programs are probably a little bit more likely to be open to the way that we do things than traditional undergraduate programs. But you never know. I think a lot of universities are becoming more open to the idea of delivering curriculum online. Some universities, like my alma mater, the University of California, is unbelievably resistant to the idea, and they've been dictating about it for years and years to their detriment, I think. And it's unfortunate because I think that delivering learning online has a lot of advantages, especially in a large state like California where it's very geographically disparate. And I think that there are a lot of advantages, not just the notion of attacking cost. I think that that's a factor, but I think that there are other factors as well, too.
Great. Do you then also handle the adding of new courses on demand, or do you see we need to cover a certain spectrum of courses, and we started with something, and then let's see how we are adding on this?
Right. So yes, we've always been very open to suggestions. We have a way on the site for anyone to suggest a course, and we have great suggestions today. We have a way for people who want to teach existing courses to volunteer to teach, not volunteer, but we pay our instructors, so it's less of a volunteer thing and more of a job. But in the near future, we are going to transform that on CodeLesson so that instructors and other technical experts who are interested in engaging in this kind of online teaching will have more control over what the course contains, what the course is named, even what the course costs to students. And so we're working right now, and we're almost done this launch probably by mid-September, a self-service flow for instructors. And so the instructor will come to lesson, specify a course that they want to teach, set a price, set a duration. So this begins our transformation from a sort of service-oriented business that just happens to be online into more of a marketplace for online learning. And it'll be not an open market completely. It won't be like eBay. It'll be more like an app store in the sense that we'll work with instructors. We'll make sure that that
quality is assured. Yeah.
Still want to have a hand in that. The curation factor that makes the difference between something that's destination and something that's really high quality and something that's just out there. And I think that from the instructors that we've spoken with so far, they seem really enthusiastic about that. I think almost every passionate technical professional has a crazy idea for a class that they want to teach. Want to facilitate that crazy. To the extent that you can find students and we can find students, then we should make the class happen, and we'll figure out a way to do that no matter what the class happens to be.
Most of your courses are about 6 weeks long, and to give the audience a certain idea of the price, but as you said, there are going to or things to happen that might change this. But for a 6-week course, about $300, I think that's very good or competitive price. What's it then like? Are the class sizes infinite? And could you also explain, as you said, video only is not sufficient. However, I saw that you sometimes have videos or screencasts. Then you also have the teacher-student exchange, of course. Could you then say how do the instructors be in relation? How are they in relation with their students?
Right. So the key thing about a CodeLesson course is that everything is time shifted. So you could be located in Australia, post to a private message board for your instructor. Your instructor located in Hawaii. The instructor gets the question and responds to it for all the class to see, usually within 12 hours or so. So the notion of time shift is important, like we talked about, both for scheduling purposes for professionals, but also for international purposes, and keeping of how we work. Message boards are the way that private message boards are the way that most of between students and instructors work. Before a class starts, our instructors will prepare curriculum for students, and that can include a traditional textbook. It could also include online reading. Some of the classes have no traditional textbook. It's comprised of online readings. Like I said, some of our courses have videos, some of them don't. It's really up to the discretion of the instructor. I just started an intermediate PHP course. I was looking for information online about the topics, and I couldn't really find any. So I put some together, and I'll do a video for that. It's really we provide our instructors a lot of flexibility in terms of how they deliver information to students, different from one class to the next. But one thing that all of our classes have in common is that there will be activities for every week, usually involving of some kind. You submit the code to the instructor, and the instructor will review the code. Anything is wrong with the code and give you written feedback on the code. And if you did everything right, it may just be great job. But if there's something wrong with the code, then we'll expect the instructor will get back to the student detailed information about exactly what went wrong, why it went wrong, and what they can do in the future to fix that. And I think that is the cornerstone of the value that we're providing. It's the big difference between what we provide and what a video learning site would provide, where you could provide that kind of feedback. By Mac works with students, you basically put their time in by evaluating the student's work, getting back with feedback, and the student can then reinforce what they've learned.
But when you say that, I imagine that the class sizes don't get that big if you have this immediate instructor-student relationship, and they also give feedback on the homework, if you will. But okay, great.
With hundreds of students, actually, and we can actually. One of the things that we're doing now is adding assistants to help with grading for larger classes. So, but it's unusual for us to go that large. Normally, we go between half a dozen and 30 students is a typical maximum. We have in the past courses several hundred students, and that's something that we continue to do in the future. It really depends on the topic and how much work there is, how many people we have to be able to apply. But in general, our students would expect a course to have more than 24 of those students in them.
Now, you're of course an experienced entrepreneur. I am reading about CodeLesson, of course. Over the last days and weeks in the big media or tech blogs. How has the customer interest from last year to this year, so let's say to your first birthday, how has it taken off? Is it really that sometimes I get this feedback that not that many students even today are so aware of the possibilities that they have with online learning? It may be very different for coders. I don't know. So give me your take on that.
One of our biggest challenges, besides the basic challenge of any online business, to get word out to the most possible, one of our subordinate challenges is conveying our unique value to students as an instructor-led online learning venue. So many products up until today have been based on the notion of these 5 videos and then magically creep into your head. And I think that differentiating ourselves from that sort of genre of online learning is vital. And we have found that the more people learn about our format, how we go about with a real human instructor interacting on students, the more they like what we're doing. And they find it enormously refreshing because almost everyone engaged in online learning try the video learning sites, you and the other things. And again, not to say that there isn't any value there. We don't even look at those things as really classes. They're basically videos. That's exactly what they are. We feel like without an instructor, it's not really a class. Without a hands-on exercise, it's not really a class, especially in technology. Not learning nearly as much. It is definitely the case that people can learn from prerequisites. You look at that as one tool in the toolbox for an instructor, and that the instructor should be at the center of the class, and that's been true since forever.
As you coming back to your very first answer is that unfortunately or apparently until today even that people think that programming comes out of a personal interest, which is I believe true. However, building almost 100% on this on the people's own initiative of learning how to program leaves, of course, many people, also many talented people out who just need the instructor or a good frame, a good curriculum, and just the structure how to learn something to eventually then be successful in programming or what they want to achieve.
My children go to bilingual school, right? We're all passionate about speaking foreign languages in our house. That just through our passion, we want to be able to do it. We need help.
Yeah, great. Then we should, of course, mention the website. That's CodeLesson.com, and also on Twitter you are at CodeLesson. Other ways you would like to direct our audience, interested people in getting in touch, or is that your two main, let's say, outlets or way you want people have a look?
Yep. General email address too, which is info@codelesson.com. If you have any inquiries about how we do our thing, happy to speak with you that way. Twitter is another way of doing it for sure, and there's a contact form on the site as well too. So we're very open to conversations, and we love it when people ask us about what we're, because we look at it as vital to making the business go. So.
Thanks so much, Jeffrey, for taking your time and speaking with me for EDUKWEST today.
Okay. Thank you, Kirsten.